Lucas lived in a big, beautiful house in the city of Greenville. He had everything he wanted: expensive clothes, cool toys, and even a car of his own. But Lucas wasn't happy. His parents wanted him to get married soon. They said it was important for the family. But Lucas didn't want to get married just because his parents told him to. He wanted to find someone special, someone who really liked him, not just because he was rich. One night, while looking out his bedroom window, Lucas had an idea. What if I pretended to be poor, he thought. Then I could find someone who likes me for who I am, not for my money. The next day, Lucas told his parents his plan. They didn't really like the idea at first. "But son, it's dangerous," said his mother, worried. "What if someone finds out who you are?" asked his father. But Lucas was determined. He promised to be careful and called his parents every day. Finally, they agreed. Lucas took some old clothes and some money. He said goodbye to his parents and left the house. For the first time in his life, Lucas was alone. At first, it was difficult. Lucas didn't know how to cook or wash his clothes. He slept in a small room and ate simple food. But little by little, he learned. After a month, Lucas decided he was ready for the next step. He moved to a small village far from the big city where he lived. In the village, Lucas met a man named Tom. Tom was a bus driver and had a good heart. When he saw Lucas looking for a place to stay, Tom offered him a room in his house. "Thank you, sir," said Lucas, happy to have found a place to live. "Call me Tom," the driver replied with a smile. "And there's no need to say thank you. Everyone needs help sometimes." Lucas started working as a porter at the village market. It was hard work. He carried heavy boxes all day and came home tired every night. Many people in the village were not kind to Lucas. They treated him badly because he looked poor. Some rich people pushed Lucas in the street or said bad things about him. But Lucas didn't give up. He remembered his goal to find someone who liked him for who he was inside, not for his money. Every night before going to sleep, Lucas thought about his day. He learned new things every day. "I learned how difficult life was for people who didn't have a lot of money. I learned how some people could be cruel, but also how others could be very kind, like Tom." One day, while carrying boxes at the market, Lucas heard two ladies talking. "Did you see that new boy?" said one of them. "He works so hard but always has a smile on his face." "Yes," replied the other. "It's good to see someone so young with so much willpower." Lucas smiled upon hearing this. He realized that even without his money, people could see good things in him. This made him feel proud. The days passed and Lucas continued his search for someone special. He talked to people at the market, helped his neighbors when he could, and always treated everyone with respect. But finding the right person wasn't easy. Many girls in the village didn't even look at Lucas because they thought he was too poor. Others just wanted to know if he had money. Sometimes Lucas felt sad and alone. He missed his family and his comfortable life. But then he remembered why he was doing all this. He wanted to find true love, someone who liked him for who he really was. One night, after a particularly difficult day, Lucas sat on the porch of Tom's house. The sky was full of stars. "Is everything okay, son?" asked Tom, sitting down next to Lucas. Lucas sighed. "Sometimes it's hard, Tom. Sometimes I think about giving up and going home." Tom placed his hand on Lucas's shoulder. "Life isn't always easy, young man. But the things that are worth it are often the hardest to achieve. If you believe in what you're doing, don't give up." Lucas looked at Tom and smiled. "Thanks, Tom. You're right. I'm not giving up." That night, Lucas went to sleep with new energy. He didn't know what the future would bring, but he was determined to continue his search. Someday he knew he would find the right person, someone who loved him not for what he had, but for who he was. And so day after day, Lucas continued his life in the village, working hard, learning important lessons, and hoping to find the true love he was looking for. Time passed quickly in the village. Before Lucas knew it, a year and a half had already passed. Every day was similar: waking up early, working hard at the market, returning home tired. Lucas was almost giving up on his dream. He hadn't found anyone who truly loved him. His hands, once soft, were now calloused. His face, previously always clean, now had sun marks. One night, while Lucas was having dinner with Tom, the bus driver noticed something was wrong. "What's wrong, Lucas?" Tom asked. "You look sad." Lucas sighed. "I think I'll go back home, Tom. I might never find someone who loves me for who I am." Tom thought for a moment. Then his eyes lit up with an idea. "Hey, why don't you try going to the market on the other side of the village? Maybe you'll have better luck there." Lucas didn't have much hope, but he decided to try. The next day he went to the new market. The place was different. There were more colors, more noise, more people. Lucas got to work, carrying boxes as he always did. It was then that he saw it. Two girls were buying fruit. One of them with golden hair and a kind smile politely thanked the seller. The other, with dark hair, complained about the price. "Come on, Sarah," said the dark-haired girl. "We don't have all day." "Calm down," Chloe replied the golden-haired girl. "You are being so kind." Lucas couldn't take his eyes off the golden-haired girl. She was beautiful, but that wasn't all. There was something in her manner, in her soft voice, that attracted him. In the days that followed, Lucas returned to the market, hoping to see the girl again, and he saw her. Her name was Sarah, and she came almost every day with her sister, Chloe. Lucas noted that Sarah was always kind to everyone. She helped elderly people with their shopping, played with children, and always had a smile for the salespeople. One day, Lucas saw Sarah carrying heavy bags. He ran to help. "Can I help you with that?" Lucas asked. Sarah looked at him surprised. Then he smiled. "Ah, thank you very much. That's very kind of you." As they walked, Lucas and Sarah talked. Lucas discovered that Sarah lived with her stepmother Helen and her half-sister Chloe. Life was not easy for Sarah. Helen and Chloe treated her badly, making her work too much at home. "But it doesn't matter," Sarah said, smiling. "I always try to see the good side of things." Lucas was impressed by Sarah's strength. Even with a difficult life, she remained kind and optimistic. In the days that followed, Lucas and Sarah met at the market. They talked and laughed together. Lucas felt his heart beat faster every time he saw Sarah smile. One day, while helping Sarah with her shopping, Lucas saw Helen and Chloe approaching. Sarah's face tensed. "Sarah," cried Helen, "what are you doing? Who is this dirty boy?" Sarah blushed with embarrassment. "This is Lucas' stepmom. He's helping me with the shopping." Chloe looked at Lucas with disgust. Sarah, how can you hang out with someone like that?" Lucas felt his face burn with embarrassment. But before he could say anything, Sarah spoke. "Lucas is a wonderful person. He's kind and hardworking. It doesn't matter how he dresses or how much money he has." Helen and Chloe were shocked by Sarah's response. They pulled Sarah away, leaving Lucas alone. That night, Lucas couldn't sleep. He thought about Sarah, about how she defended him. He had never met someone so kind and brave. "Tom," Lucas said the next morning, "I think I found the person I was looking for." Tom smiled. "It's that girl from the market, isn't it?" "Sarah." Lucas nodded, surprised. "How do you know?" "Ah," young man laughed Tom. "Your eyes light up every time you talk about her." In the days that followed, Lucas did everything he could to help Sarah. He carried her shopping, fixed things in her house when Helen wasn't looking, and always had a kind word for her. Sarah, in turn, always had a smile for Lucas. She liked listening to his stories about life in the big city, although Lucas was careful not to reveal that he was rich. One day, as they were walking together after shopping, Sarah suddenly stopped. "Lucas," she said, looking into his eyes, "you are the kindest person I have ever met. I don't know what I would do without you." Lucas's heart skipped a beat. He wanted to tell Sarah everything right then. He wanted to say that he loved her, that he wanted to marry her. But he knew it wasn't the right time yet. "Sarah," he said softly, "you're amazing too. I promise I'll always be here for you." They looked at each other for a long moment. Lucas felt like he could stay there forever, just looking into Sarah's eyes. But the moment was interrupted by Chloe's scream. "Sarah, come home now." Sarah sighed. "I have to go. Thanks for everything, Lucas." As he watched Sarah walk away, Lucas knew he had found the right person. Sarah was everything he ever wanted: kind, honest, strong. She loved him for who he was, not what he had. Lucas decided it was time to tell Sarah the truth. He needed to reveal who he really was and ask for her hand in marriage. But how to do this without Helen and Chloe interfering? That night, lying in his simple bed at Tom's house, Lucas made a plan. He would ask Sarah to marry him, and then return to the city to seek help from his family. It would be risky, but Lucas knew it was worth it. The sun had barely risen when Lucas woke up. His heart was pounding. Today was the day. He was going to ask Sarah to marry him. Lucas got ready carefully, wearing his best clothes, which were still very simple. He took a flower from Tom's garden and left. On the way to the market, Lucas rehearsed what he would say. He was nervous but happy. Finally, after so long, he had found someone special. When he arrived at the market, Lucas saw Sarah. She looked beautiful, as always, helping an elderly woman with her shopping. Lucas took a deep breath and approached. "Sarah," he called softly. Sarah turned and smiled. "Good morning, Lucas. What a nice surprise to see you so early." Lucas handed the flower to Sarah. I brought this for you." Sarah took the flower, her eyes shining. "Oh, Lucas, it's beautiful." "Thank you." Lucas held Sarah's hands. "Sarah, I need to tell you something. You are the most wonderful person I have ever met. Your kindness, your strength. I love you, Sarah." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Lucas, I. But before Sarah could respond, there was a scream. "Sarah, what do you think you're doing?" It was Helen, Sarah's stepmother. She was walking quickly, with Chloe close behind. "Get away from my stepdaughter, you poor bastard," Helen shouted, pulling Sarah away from Lucas. "Stepmom, please," Sarah begged. "Lucas is a good person." Helen laughed dismissively. "Good person? He's a nobody. Sarah, you deserve better. Let's go home now." Lucas stood there, not knowing what to do. He saw Sarah being dragged away, looking back sadly. At that moment, Lucas made a decision. It was time to reveal the truth. "Wait," Lucas shouted. "I need to tell you all something." Helen, Chloe, and Sarah stopped. People in the market approached, curious. Lucas took a deep breath. "My real name is Lucas Greenwood. I come from a wealthy family in the city of Greenville." There were murmurs of surprise among the people. Sarah looked at Lucas, confused. "I came to this village pretending to be poor," Lucas continued. "I wanted to find someone who loved me for who I am, not for my money." Helen released Sarah, her eyes shining with greed. "Rich? Are you rich?" Lucas ignored Helen and looked straight at Sarah. "Sarah, I love you. I came here to ask you to marry me. Will you marry me?" The market was silent. Everyone was waiting for Sarah's answer. Sarah looked at Lucas, tears in her eyes. "Lucas, I don't know what to say. Have you been lying to me this whole time?" Lucas approached Sarah. "I'm sorry for not telling you sooner, but everything we experienced together was real. My feelings for you are true." Sarah was silent for a moment. Then she smiled softly. "Lucas, I love you too. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. I love you for who you are." Helen interrupted the moment. Well, looks like we have a wedding to plan. Sarah, darling, you must accept." Chloe, who had previously despised Lucas, now smiled at him. "Yeah, little sister. How lucky for you." Lucas looked seriously at Helen and Chloe. "The wedding will only happen if Sarah wants it, and it will be on her terms, not yours." Sarah smiled, grateful. She turned to Lucas. "Yes, Lucas, I accept to marry you." The people in the market applauded. Tom, who was watching everything from afar, smiled proudly at Lucas. But Helen didn't give up easily. Very well, very well. But if you're going to get married, we want a wedding fit for a rich man. I want to see jewelry, expensive dresses, a huge party. Lucas looked at Sarah, who seemed uncomfortable with her stepmother's demands. Okay, Lucas said, I'm going back to the city of Greenville and I'll bring everything I need for the wedding. But remember, Helen, what matters is what Sarah wants. Sarah hugged Lucas. Are you sure you want to do this? She asked softly. Lucas smiled. I do. I want our marriage to be perfect, and I want your family to see that I can take good care of you. The next day, Lucas was preparing to return to the city of Greenville. He said goodbye to Tom, promising to return soon. Thanks for everything, Tom, Lucas said, hugging the old driver. Tom smiled. I'm proud of you, son. You found what you were looking for and didn't lose who you are in the process. Lucas said goodbye to Sarah with a kiss. I'll be back soon, my love. I promise. Sarah smiled, her eyes full of love. I'll be waiting. And so Lucas left for the city of Greenville. His heart was light. He had found true love and was ready to start a new life with Sarah. In the city, Lucas went straight to his parents' house. When the door opened, his mother almost fainted from surprise. Lucas, my son, she shouted, hugging him tightly. Lucas's father appeared, his eyes filling with tears at the sight of his son. Lucas told his parents everything about his life in the village, about Sarah, about the marriage. Son, said Lucas's father, I'm proud of you. You've proven yourself to be a man of character. Lucas's mother smiled. I can't wait to meet Sarah. With the help of his parents, Lucas began preparing everything for the wedding. He chose the most beautiful ring for Sarah, bought elegant clothes, and prepared an incredible party. The village woke up to a strange noise. It was the sound of several large cars arriving. People came out of their homes to see what was happening. To everyone's surprise, a line of shiny cars stopped in the middle of the main street. From the first car, Lucas came out. But it wasn't the Lucas everyone knew. This Lucas was wearing elegant clothes and had a big smile on his face. The people of the village could not believe their eyes. Many who previously treated Lucas badly now tried to get closer to him. Sarah, who was helping at the bakery, heard the commotion and went out to see what was going on. When she saw Lucas, her eyes filled with tears of happiness. Lucas, she shouted, running towards him. Lucas opened his arms and hugged Sarah tightly. I'm back, my love, as I promised. Helen and Chloe appeared, their eyes wide at seeing all the fancy cars. Oh, Lucas dear, Helen said in a honeyed voice. How wonderful that you're back. I see you brought gifts. Lucas looked seriously at Helen. Yes, I brought everything you asked for to the wedding. But first I need to talk to Sarah in private. Lucas took Sarah to a quiet place, away from prying eyes. He held her hands and looked into her eyes. Sarah, I know this must all come as a surprise to you. I want you to know that even though I'm rich, my feelings for you are true. Will you still marry me? Sarah smiled, her eyes shining with love. Lucas, I love you for who you are on the inside. Rich or poor, you are the man I want to spend the rest of my life with. They hugged, happy to be together again. Back on Main Street, Lucas introduced his parents to Sarah. Lucas's mother hugged Sarah affectionately. Welcome to the family, darling, she said with a warm smile. Lucas's father shook Sarah's hand. We're happy that Lucas found someone as special as you. Helen and Chloe watched from afar, their faces a mixture of envy and regret. Lucas turned to Tom, who was standing near his old bus. Tom, you've been like a father to me this past year. I want to thank you for everything. Tom smiled, excited. No need to thank me, son. You brought joy to my life. Lucas signaled and one of his employees brought a large box. Tom, this is my gift to you. A new bus to replace the old one. Tom was speechless. Tears streamed down his face as he hugged Lucas. In the days that followed, the village was transformed. Lucas used part of his fortune to help people in the community. He built a new school, renovated the hospital, and created jobs for many residents. The big wedding day has finally arrived. The village church was beautiful, decorated with flowers of all colors. The people of the village, dressed in their best clothes, filled the benches. When Sarah entered the church, everyone gasped. She looked stunning in her white dress, but what shined most was her smile. Lucas waited at the altar, his eyes full of love as he saw Sarah walking towards him. When she reached his side, he whispered, "You look beautiful." The ceremony was emotional. Lucas and Sarah exchanged vows of eternal love, promising to take care of each other forever. When the priest declared them husband and wife, the church erupted in applause. At the party after the wedding, everyone was having fun. There was delicious food, happy music, and lots of dancing. Lucas and Sarah danced happily, their faces beaming with joy. In a calm moment, Lucas pulled Sarah into a quiet corner. "I'm so happy, Sarah. You've made me the happiest man in the world." Sarah smiled, her eyes shining. "And you made me the happiest woman, Lucas, not for the money or the gifts, but for your kind heart." They kissed, sealing their love once again. Suddenly, Helen and Chloe approached, looking embarrassed. "Sarah," Lucas, Helen began, "we want to apologize. We didn't treat you well, especially you, Sarah. Can we start over?" Sarah looked at Lucas, who nodded softly. Then, to everyone's surprise, Sarah hugged Helen and Chloe. "Of course we can start over," Sarah said. "We're a family now." The three women cried together, years of heartache turning into hope for a better future. The party continued into the night. Tom danced happily with Lucas's mother, the village children played happily, and love seemed to fill the air. As the night came to an end, Lucas and Sarah prepared to leave on their honeymoon. Before getting into the car, Lucas turned to the people in the village. "Thank you all," he said. "This village taught me the true value of things. I promise I will never forget the lessons I learned here." People applauded and waved as the car drove away. Lucas and Sarah waved back, their hearts full of love and gratitude. As they drove to their new future, Lucas looked at Sarah. "You know, I think I found something much more valuable than all the money in the world." Sarah smiled. "What?" "True love," Lucas replied, taking Sarah's hand, "and the certainty that together we can make a difference in the world." Sarah shook Lucas's hand, her heart overflowing with happiness. They knew that no matter what the future brought, they would face it together with love, compassion, and the strength they had found in each other. And so Lucas and Sarah began their new life, taking with them the lessons of humility, kindness, and true love they had learned on their unusual journey. They vowed to use their wealth and influence to help others, always remembering that the greatest treasure of all is a heart full of love.